Hi there, welcome. In this video, I want to talk about liquid ink. Where is it? Using liquid ink as in a fountain pen or a biro. Now, when we write, okay, um, we're creating all the time, and fountain pens were in way before biros were in, way back in time. And when we write with a fountain pen, using ink cartridges, it's akin to the ink is akin to blood. And so when we connect this to the page, it gives like more power to the word. Now I find it's much more satisfying for me to write with a fountain pen. I have more connection to the page, to the word, to the feeling, to the emotions. Have you ever felt this, or do you use fountain pens, liquid ink? And whereas now, if you wrote with this fountain pen and say it got splashed by liquid, water, drink, juice, it bleeds into the page, and sometimes you can barely make out what you've written. But with the biro, the dry ink, it more or less stays there, at least stays there for much, 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 much longer. But it's the downside of this is that there's less connection to the word, to what you're writing. Basically, even though it's stronger in resistance to water being spilled, if you write with it, it doesn't have the same kind of energy to it. And so, while it is handy, if you're creating or you're writing like your affirmations, something that you want to bring into your life, something positive, I would suggest that you use the fountain pen because, as I said, there's more energy to it. And I made a note of something I didn't want to forget. Have I done it? Um, no, I think I think I left it out. I don't think I remember. I remember to write it down. I remembered and then I forgot. But anyway, this is just really brief. Just a really brief video to say it does make a difference when you write with fountain pen to bring all your wishes, your desires into fruition, and it also gives more energy. There's a word I'm looking for, but it's not quite here at the moment. It gives more like emotive energy is one, but that's not exactly what I wanted to say. But basically, there's more of a connection and between us and when we use it, and when we write down on on a page, when we use a fountain pen to write stuff down on a page, there's more connection somehow. There's more spiritual. There's a word I'm looking for. Just let me pause and think about this. Can't remember. Totally gone. Just can't get my finger on it. Now that's so weird. But okay, then to recap, it is more beneficial to use fountain pens, and I notice now that if I want a fountain pen, I have got to search high and low. I mean, I bought this I think maybe last year, and it cost me £12. This little tiny thing. I've got another one. It's sort of like more chunkier, and it has an even nicer flow to it, and that costs like maybe 28, £30. And that was supposed to be a bargain. And the thing with this is that, well, you've got to keep topping up the cartridges, but I find that it's worth it. And what I do, I tend to buy the cartridges online because they're so much cheaper than buying them in like bookstores or supermarkets, much cheaper. And so it is worth it. Writing by pencil as well. This is good. I remember when I was younger, a little one, and we started out with in fact we started out with slates. I've got one here somewhere, where you just write on with chalk in case you made a mistake, and you can with white chalk. So you had a personal slate. I mean, that's when you're like 5 years of age going up. And then we graduated to pencils because you can also erase it, and this has got an eraser as well as you can get an individual eraser. And I like writing with pencils, but as I said, it can be erased. You can erase the word fairly easily. And then we graduated to fountain pens, and I remember the mess that we used to make with all the ink blots dropping on all pages because we had those ink pots where you had to like squeeze the ink up the tube, and your fingers would be all full of ink, until you really got like used to it and got the hang of it. But then from the ink pots, which I still see them on occasion, but to the kind of more like non-messy cartridges and more kind of like convenient. But I would much rather use ink writing all the time. I do have several biros, kind of like in waiting in stock, and I use them from time to time. But it's if I'm low on fountain pen ink, I would use them, but it does not feel the same to me. And try it and see, because if one is used to using a biro, you really wouldn't have any frame of reference to notice that there's something different. But if you try the fountain pen, you'll see what I mean. There's a sort of sense of satisfaction writing with it that you don't get with the biro. Okay, then I thought I would just touch on that, and let me know if you've tried both or if you've never used a fountain pen. And you can go maybe to the supermarkets and get a kind of cheaper version, and before you graduate into a more expensive one, and see how you feel. Let me know. I'll be interested. All right, thank you. See you in the next one, Diana.